everyone, welcome to another Music Talk Tuesday. I apologize this video to unfortunately be delayed until this new year of 2016. I unfortunately have been relatively busy over the past week and did not have time to focus on uploading and making videos, but I should be now caught up at the end of today. So without further ado, let me get into my personal worst and best songs of 2015. Since I thought it would be interesting to kind of reflect back still onto 2015, because I think even I still have a problem adjusting my calendar to 2016 already. But for me personally, 2015, as far as a year of music, is concerned, is kind of almost a dud in the sense that I didn't feel like a whole lot came out, and also the things that did come out didn't really impress me all too much. But despite that, I still managed to find some songs that I thought were genuinely good, and it was hard for me to pick of the worst because, to be honest, I thought that this year overall was just not a really impressive year for music. I didn't feel like there was a whole lot of good ones to come out, but there are a couple of ones that were good. It's just, it wasn't as an impressive year of music as far as I am concerned, and it's just kind of been a little bit unimpressive over the years, at least for me. But despite that, there's always still some good things out there, at least ones that I genuinely enjoyed. But I'm going to get started with this video by talking about the worst, and then I'll go and transition into the best. So starting off with the worst, one of the worst songs that I probably heard this year, at least in regards to music, even more specifically pop music, is Lips Are Movin' by Meghan Trainor. Now, I never particularly cared for Meghan Trainor as an artist. I think I actually disliked one of her other songs and kind of talked about that briefly in another video. I think it was I'm All About That Bass, which is really the one song that everybody seemed to know from her. And this song sort of entered the airwaves, and when you really look at it on the surface, it sounds a lot like All About That Bass. It doesn't offer a huge amount of originality, and there is a lot of repetitive and annoying parts to this song where, she's just, again, constantly repeating the lyrics, constantly repeating the lines, and there's just no emphasis on them. There's just no real power to them. She just keeps saying it like a robot over and over again. And what really frustrates me too about this particular song is that she seems to be paranoid about a guy, but then for some reason she doesn't really explain why she thinks he's a liar, why she thinks he's a bad person, or, it doesn't really go into any explanation as to why she thinks that he's a liar, or, and when automatically his lips are moving that he is lying, or like that everything comes out is just not true. I just don't understand it. I mean, it just sounds like a complete exaggeration to me of a song instead of something that is actually of genuine kind of heart. And the weird thing too is it sounds kind of poppy and upbeat, but then she's talking about this very sort of serious subject matter, but with not a huge amount of substance behind what she's saying, because again, she just sounds like she's just overly paranoid, and just tries to act all like, yeah, I'm such a sassy girl and whatever, and I know you're lying and blah blah blah, and it's just annoying. It's really bothersome. It's not pleasant to listen to, and it just drained the airwaves for me. Like, I heard it constantly played on the radio, and it just drove me nuts. So that's one of the worst ones that I heard this year, by far. And also by far one of the worst songs that I heard of this year, moving on to the second one, is Worth It by Fifth Harmony. Now, I've never heard of this group, and I don't know the extensiveness as far as their popularity, but it's uh, not worth your time, and it's not worth any amount of effort and energy of paying attention to her, because this song is clearly not worth it. I mean, um, not only does it have the repetitive and annoying nature like a lot of these current songs that we currently have penetrating our airwaves do, like Meghan Trainor's song, but it's also um, the way in which it executes the instrumentals with having I believe it is the saxophone, just playing like, just sounds so, it sounds so annoying. My God, it just bleeds my ears when I hear that every time. And then just on top of that, hearing them sing, "Baby, I'm worth it. I'm worth it." It sounds so bad. It's just like, oh God, like there's no beauty to this song whatsoever. And she, throughout the song, the narrator, she keeps talking about how she should get something, and supposedly it's from a man or something. Um, and she says it because and the reason she explains why she deserves something is because she's worth it. Well, it doesn't say in any indication as to why she is worth it and why this guy should give her the time of day. Does not explain anything as to the context of the situation whatsoever. It's just kind of like trying to infuse into the brain of all the females out there that, yeah, you're worth it no matter what. You're worth it. Yeah, you're worth it. Just worth it. Yeah, just repeat that over and over and over again until it sounds like vomit. I mean, it's just it's just, it sounds so mind-numbingly just, it just sounds like a worm trying to go into your ear. That's literally what the song sounds like, especially with the, "Hey, I'm worth it. Maybe I'm worth it. Don't worry." And it's so whiny, and I just can't understand why this song would be in any way, shape, or form popular. It just drove me nuts this year, and I was listening to and hearing it on the radio constantly, and it drove me insane. I just could not stand that song. But it's just, yeah, it's just constant need of praise and selfishness that these songs bring that just already makes them, on top of being annoying by how they sound, even more annoying by what they are saying. Next song that I wanted to briefly mention is one that has spawned a numerous amount of memes on the internet. And I almost want to say I'm kind of glad of the song's existence, otherwise we wouldn't have the existence of these hilarious memes making fun of this song, because apparently the song is that bad that people are making fun of it. And when you really listen to the original song, it is really just annoying, and it's just hard to listen to. But this song in particular that I'm talking about is Hotline Bling by Drake. This became a sensation, I think more so due to the fact that, Drake was dancing all funky for some reason, and people just kind of thought, this is funny, let's make some memes out of it. And so they made tons of different Drake memes surrounding the whole song, and a lot of parodies too, a lot of parodies. But it's kind of funny because the way in which he sounds throughout the song is so robotic. Like, just when he starts singing, "You like to call me on the cell phone," it sounds so, yeah, yesterday. Sounds so, it sounds like, it doesn't sound like a human is singing. It sounds like they replaced Drake with Drakebot, and Drakebot is just singing the song. Like, it's that nasal, it's that very nasally kind of generic, sound that doesn't sound like it's not filled with any emotion. It's just like, it really does sound like a robot. It does not sound human at all. And it's it's also hard to understand too a little what Drake's saying, just because of the weird way in which he chooses to say the lyrics. And oh, it's just one of those songs that you kind of have to just make fun of, and you have to almost even hear it just to laugh at how dumb and, you know, uh, robotic, and even the dancing is kind of robotic in a way. It's kind of just designed to not be in any way, shape, or form cool, even though Drake is trying to give the whole audience the impression that he's somehow cool and he can pick up chicks. At least that's what I got from the song. I mean, it's just drivel, just robotic drivel, and the overproduced, and I mean, if people can make fun of it though, it's a good time. I mean, that was enjoyable to see people make fun of this song because of how bad it was. Um, but I think that's really ultimately all I can say about it. It's just that nasally, wah, robotic sound that really just makes it very difficult for me to find any enjoyment out of. Okay. Second to last song is Fight Song by Rachel Platten. And I heard this song constantly, and at first I didn't think it was that bad. And then after hearing it over and over and over again, I just wanted to scream at just how generic it is, because it is that very kind of generic Kelly Clarkson girl powery kind of song that we've heard time and time and time again. Um, and the problem is there's nothing really behind the song. There's not really a huge amount of substance given to the reasonings behind, like, what she's fighting for, or what she, you know, believes in, or there's no there's there is a sense of trying to appeal to everybody, but then not giving yourself your own kind of identity with the song. And I think that's really what this song suffers from. And just the fact that it sounds kind of just, it's just that generic, pop music that people have heard of time and time and time again. And you don't really identify with her struggle because you don't really know what the struggle is. You don't really get the message that she's really trying to send across to people. It's not like something like Sarah Bareilles' Brave, where there's actually some indication as to what the substance of the song is. You know, for Sarah Bareilles, you could tell that being brave meant, just speaking up and, just expressing yourself, and don't take yourself too seriously. That's at least something specific, and that's at least something that people can hold on to and identify with. Here, there is clearly no indication of what this is my fight song. Well, what is this? What does this mean? This is your fight song. What does that? It doesn't entail anything. So there's not a huge amount of backing to what she's saying. So it really is what I think damages the song, and just being empowered for the sake of being empowered. And it's annoying. Like, it's annoying. I'm tired of being empowered, people. Like, I've heard it time and time again, and I've heard it well already. So move on to something else. you know I mean, I don't need to constantly be feel empowered. Like, get over it. Like, just give me something else. Just anything. Just anything. But moving on to the final bad song. And this song is like a worm too. It just like tries to penetrate your brain and hurt your brain. At least that's what I felt. I felt like it was a parasite trying to get inside my brain and, you know, mess it up or something. But uh, this song is called Same Old Love by Selena Gomez. Oh my God, how many times do I have to say how repetitive songs are nowadays and how just annoying they sound? And the and this goes too with the instrumentals as well as with the lyrics. Like, everything about this song is, "I'm just thinking that thing I wanna," and again, you have that whiny voice, that annoying whiny voice. And it's the breakup song. It's the Taylor Swift, all of these girls now, it's just they follow the same pattern. They're like, okay, Taylor Swift is doing breakup songs. We're going to do a whole lineup of just breakup songs. We're going to talk about how much of a jerk so and so is. and not really give an explanation as to why so and so is a jerk. And we're gonna whine and complain and um, not even really explain the context of the breakup or give you any sense of what really went wrong with the relationship or whatever. You just are left with a completely generic song that has again, no no way in which for the audience members to identify with, and no way, shape, or form to give itself context. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I don't understand why you can't explain it. That's all you need to do is you just need to explain why this person was a jerk. It's not that hard. And even then, it's just so annoying to just hear it constantly, the constant whining. Like, it just drives me nuts. Like, you have to just whine and complain about how so and so is a bad, evil, meanie, meanie nincompoop, and I'm the best and greatest in the whole wide world, and I don't need to change, and I don't need to, grow as a person. No, no, not at all. But yeah, those are all of the bad songs. Wanted to get those out of the way because I mean, it was really hard to choose which were the worst because a lot of them sounded the same to me. But as far as the ones that were the worst, those kind of stood out to me because they were just so unbelievably bad and stupid. And I just couldn't help but think to myself, why can anybody listen to these songs? It just doesn't make sense to me. But regardless, I'm going to be moving on to some of the best songs that I heard because there were actually some good ones. They obviously they obviously have certain things to them that I think stood out, but there weren't a huge amount, unfortunately. But I did manage to come up with a couple, so let me address them. First being, and probably my number one, if I had to choose from this list, is Adventure of a Lifetime by Coldplay. Now, you can debate as to whether or not Coldplay has gone up or down as a band, depending on where their albums stack. But I think what people don't like is the fact that they're transitioning to kind of being happy, as opposed to doing just sad, deep music all the time. And I personally feel like I like this transition. I like the fact that they're trying to explore something different, and they're trying to do a little bit more on the upbeat side. They're not trying to constantly feel like they need to put up something depressing or something that's, so, tragic or heartfelt in that way. And Adventure of a Lifetime, I think, exudes the kind of the happier kind of qualities, or at least the ones that I think Coldplay actually does pretty well with. Um, and what I think really works about the song is the fact that it's super upbeat and it also has this psychedelic nature to it. And while at the same time be relaxed. And I think that's a good thing because a lot of these songs that try to be really happy and try to, you know, infuse the kind of um, party atmosphere, they try to overdo it and overhinge, and they try to really emphasize that you're at a party. Whereas here, it's just kind of upbeat and relaxed. It's like you're having a good time, but at the same time, it's not like you're completely, losing control. And again, the song isn't super repetitive and it has actual beats to it and it feels like a genuine song. And um, at the same time, even though this song doesn't have a whole lot of, there's a different amount of interpretations you could get from the song. But again, there's a lot of things that this song sort of touches upon that is reflected on to the instrumentals, like dreams, kind of just being alive, freedom, all that just kind of those concepts seem to really infuse themselves well within the lyrics as well as within the instrumentals, which is pretty much what I could gather from the song and why I thought it stood out to me personally. And I understand if people feel differently, but I honestly felt that this was a good choice, at least on Coldplay's part. Now, the second song that I wanted to briefly mention is Hello by Adele. Now, I don't think this song is as good as Adele's other songs, and I know there might be, Shock, how can you not like this song as much as her old ones? Well, I just feel like that, the way in which the songs are composed, at least for older songs, I think are a little bit better. They're just a little bit more memorable to me, at least compared to this song. Um, but despite that, there is still a lot to enjoy about this song. To From its powerful vocals to uh, the way in which it tries to create this kind of haunting environment. Um, it really does suit itself well. And also, um, what's I think good about this song, and I think a lot of artists need to take suit on this, is the fact that this song is about apologizing and messing up. And Adele is a girl, a woman, who messed up. And she says that within the song. And she says how she feels guilty and she sort of wants to make amends with the guy, in this case, that she hurt in some way, shape, or form. We don't really see that much nowadays. At least a lot of these pop music artists, whenever it's a kind of dealing with a breakup situation or dealing with a crossroads or something, it's always the other person's fault, and there's never an apology upon the artist to say that I'm sorry for doing something wrong. Um, but that is completely scrapped here, and it's all just about Adele just pouring out her emotion and just admitting guilt, admitting fault, and trying to apologize and make amends. And that's something, again, we don't see that often in a lot of music, unfortunately, nowadays. There's not a whole lot of sorry songs anymore. There's not a whole lot of apology or trying to fix something. It's more so of it's the other person's fault, and I'm worth it, and I'm the biggest, best, and greatest. And it's nice to see a song do sort of the exact opposite, and really just humble upon itself and ask for forgiveness. So I think that's important to understand, and you really do believe it within her voice, the sort of apology, the 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 feeling of regret. Second to last song that I wanted to mention, it's one by a band that actually, I guess, is sort of coming back or supposed to be coming back. I'm not sure, but it reminds me of the early. This song in particular reminds me of the earlier 2000s rock music, which I think should come back. It would be nice if that music could come back. Um, but it is called "Defeated" by Breaking Benjamin. Um, and there's a lot of edginess and uh, catchiness as well to this song, along with its good vocals. And we don't really see any of this kind of hard rock, just straightforward genre anymore. It's kind of like rock is sort of melded into more of the indie. Just play my guitar. But with no other kinds of instruments. And here you get the full frontal of what you would expect from a band like this. And it's nice to see this kind of music kind of come back. And it sort of addresses overcoming obstacles in order to not be defeated, so to speak. You know, just keeping on moving forward and, just trying to overcome. So I think that is also something we don't really see too often, at least in a lot of these songs that are coming out nowadays. So I think it's definitely worthy of a recommendation if you're interested in that kind of edgy rock. And I think it really works because it's not too overpowering and it's not too in your face. And at the same time, it still offers a lot of interesting uh, commentary and a lot of fun sounds to wrap your ears around. last song that I wanted to briefly mention is Shots by Imagine Dragons. Now, I thought as far as Imagine Dragons go, they were alright this year. The same too with them last year. You know, I had the one song that sort of stood out to me, but they're just kind of seems like their songs are sort of hit and miss now, at least for me. But I felt like Shots was probably one of their standout songs. And it's sort of similar to the Coldplay song in that it has a sort of psychedelicness to it, and also tries to maintain a certain level of mellowness. But it does so in sort of an ironic way, unlike the Coldplay song, because he discusses sort of how bad he feels for doing someone or the people that he loved wrong. Um, and, you know, he sort of expresses the fact that, you know, he took whatever he was, you know, whatever he had and the good that was in his life, and he sort of shot it down, so to speak. So, hence the title. Um, and I think that's a very kind of elaborate and interesting way of putting things. And again, it's sort of about apology. It's sort of about acknowledgement of the wrongs within life. Um, although I don't think there's really a huge amount of mentioning of forgiveness, it's sort of more of an acknowledgement on the narrator's part that um, he's sorry for um, doing wrong and trying to um, mess things up. But I think that sometimes ends up happening in life where we mess up and, you know, we don't mean to. It's just sometimes that's just what makes us human, and what makes us capable of moving beyond what we ended up doing within the past and trying to see things through and move forward to a better life. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say about all of these songs. I would definitely recommend listening to the ones that I said that I thought were good. And for the ones that are bad, I'd say avoid them like the plague if you can. But except maybe for the Drake one, if you wanna see some funny memes. But I think that's really though ultimately all I can say. However, if any questions, comments, concerns, be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a pleasant day, week, month, and year, and a good start to 2016. And until next time, everybody, bye-bye.